Hi, friends. It's me, Christiana Gaudet. It is time for our tarot meetup here on YouTube Live. So nice to see all of you here. Thank you for being here. We do 3 meetups a month typically on YouTube. This is our last one for February. And I just today, got all of our March events scheduled here on YouTube. So if you go to the live tarot webinars playlist, you can go there with your calendar and mark the 2 classes and 3 meetups we have for March. Now we have 1 class left in February, and it's one I am absolutely excited about, coming up next weekend. Is that true? Yeah, next weekend. Saturday, 10:30 a.m. Eastern Time, Tarot and Pendulum. So get your tarot decks and get your pendulums, and we will spend an hour looking at how to use those 2 things together. If you don't have a pendulum, you can always use a pendant on a chain or a needle on a thread. So make sure you do join us for that. All right, let's get started. We will be here for the next hour. I'm happy to see you all here today. Great to see you. While you're checking in and saying hi, let us know where in the world you are and what deck you are working with. What we will do is we will spend the first half hour or so reading for each other, and then we'll spend the second half hour talking about some tarot stuff. I have one thing I want to cover. It was an idea given to me in our Global Tarot Circle group on Facebook. And if you're not a member of that group, Global Tarot Circle on Facebook, please do join. We're not super active there at all, but we do share, we share some exercises here and there. And the one thing that happens is right before we're gonna meet, I will always ask, what do you want to speak about? Okay, very good. Let's see. So Robin is here. Robin Levine from Florida, working with the Modern Witch. I've got my Modern Witch right here, in fact. What a great deck. Smile Soul 20 in Connecticut. So glad that you are all here. Laura's in Hawaii and using the Mystic Garbage Tarot. Oh, very cool. I've not heard of that one. That's exciting. Melanie is in Chicago using the Tarot of Pagan Cats, the mini edition. Irene is using Light Seers. I've got that one handy. I like that one very much. La Morena in South Florida using Tarot of the Divine. Very good. Very good. And I am working with Legacy of the Divine today, so that will be fun. Okay. And Lacey's in New York City using Ethereal Visions. Claire's in Florida using Radiant Tarot. Marcos, who is actually Anna, working with the Gregory Scott Tarot, and she's in Rio. Okay. And Dina is in, let's see. Dina's in Nyack using the Hanson Roberts. Right, Kim, I agree with you. We all want to know more about Mystic Garbage Tarot. What the heck, man? That sounds so interesting. I've not heard of it before. An indie deck, you got it on Kickstarter. Great thing to do to help out on Kickstarter, Indiegogo, that kind of thing. It's a great thing. Okay, and Kim is using Tarot of the Unknown. That's one I don't know either. Hey, Style and Chica, so glad you're here. We're going to talk about your topics. You got to stick with us this hour, because in the second half of the hour, we are going to be talking about the very interesting topic that you gave us. I had to do some research on this. You actually made me work, right? I had to do some research to think about what I would have to say about this. Haha, I won't say what this is. We'll talk about it in the second half. But Style and Chica was the one who gave us the idea. And Mark Astro Tarot, in Toronto, using the efflorescent tarot. That's one I don't know either. So great. So great. All right, let's get started. The first thing that we will do is an opportunity for us to read for one another. This is a great way to see how different people interpret cards. It's a great way to get a reading. It's a great way to practice your speed reading techniques. I will move pretty quickly here. And you don't have to move as quickly as I do. It's easier for me to speak than it is for you to type. But what's going to happen is, if you have a question, a burning question, the kind of question you would want to ask a room full of tarotists, give us your question. I will pull one card to answer your question, and then anyone else here who would like to contribute to the reading will put the name of the person you're reading for, the name of the card you got, and your interpretation. So, if you've asked a question, you can listen to me, but then read through the comments to get the rest of your reading. So you're getting a really big reading done by people all over the world. And it's always fun to see, when do we get the same cards? When do we get a similar message? When do we get an opposing message? And what is that all about? So this is a great opportunity for fellowship study and to get your questions answered. So, okay, and here's our first question. So get those questions in. Okay, Mark, you are in a new relationship. What's next? What's next for the new relationship? Let's take a look. If you would like to handle this question, at Mark Astro Tarot, the name of the card you got and your interpretation. What do we see for Mark's new relationship? The Two of Coins reversed. So it's like the Two of Pentacles. Mark, I feel like there's some questions here. There's some questions about how the two of you will actually integrate your lives and in what way at this time and in the future. I feel like there are ways that you are compatible, but there are ways, and maybe even very mundane ways, in terms of schedule or, energy or time or whatever, that you may not feel so compatible. And so the key is going to be patient and to really look at what each of you wants, what each of you needs, what each of you has to offer, and see if you can find a balance there. That's going to be the question. Okay. Claire C., will I finally receive justice? What an interesting question. And that's an interesting question because justice according to who? Will you feel like you receive justice? Will the universe feel like you receive justice? Will whoever is meting out this justice feel like you've received justice? That's a very interesting question in the way that it's worded. So let's, there's a couple of ways, if you find yourself confronted with an interesting question, if you're sitting down with someone and doing the reading, it's worth rephrasing. It's worth digging in a little bit because that question begs many, many, many questions. And yet there is some power in just doing the reading the way the question was asked. So let's try that. Will she finally receive justice? Let's not think about it. Let's not think about what it might mean. Okay, Claire has rephrased. Will I feel like I've received justice? Okay, so let's go ahead and do that. Will Claire feel like she's received justice? Okay, if you'd like to do this reading, at Claire C., the name of the card you got and your interpretation. What do we see? The Three of Coins reversed. Man, I've shuffled and I'm getting these reversed coins. First the two, now the three. So I think that there's some concern here, Claire. I wonder if there is something more that you need to do to help put those wheels of justice in motion. I feel like there's a lot to dig into here. This is something I'd really like to sit with you for a good half hour or hour to talk about this one. But my feeling is there's a lot more to the story and it comes in pieces. Okay, Mystics Haven. I'm open to any messages for me at this time, being 4 months in on my separation, still living with my son. Okay, so definitely a person in transition. What message might the universe have for this person during this time of separation and transition? So if you'd like to do this reading at Mystics Haven, the name of the cards you got and your interpretation, what do we see here? The Devil reversed. What I can tell you is the separation was necessary and wonderful. Not easy. There's a lot of healing to be done here, but so necessary. This is going to help you on your journey. It'll take a minute to get where you need to go and do what you need to do, but relax. The worst is over and you are on the right journey doing the right things. La Morena, how should I make my choice on where to take my life? I'm blessed to have time, security, and many paths I can go on. Okay, so this is a great question because the question is not what path, it is how can she make her decision? What factors or what tools or what should she be aware of as she makes her decision around beginning a new life? So I love that question. If you'd like to do this reading at La Morena Senpena, the name of the card you got and your interpretation, how shall she make her decision? What should she let influence her? What is important for her to consider as she gets ready to begin a new life? Don't you love it? The Seven of Cups. So this is a card that says exactly what you said. Yes, you have a lot of choices. So how should you choose from the many paths and the many choices? Know that you have many paths and many choices. That is just, I love it when tarot does that. But then there's always that question about, so how do you deal with that? And so that's what I'm going to say about this card is this. As you make your choices, it is easy to get a little flummoxed by the many choices there are. And there is something about this card that can bring us to that place of anxious, dark imaginings where you think about all the worst things that could happen. You know, the problem is that throughout the course of your life, you have gotten used to not being able to have what you want or not being able to think clearly enough to know what you want. So now that you can actually choose and have what you want, you don't have a clue how to do this. So what you need to do is really look within and give yourself permission to know what you want and to be strong in it and be okay with it. That's what I think. Okay, very good. Lots of good readings going on. Thank you so much. Okay, we've got Junebug 89. Please tell me what you pick up in terms of the man I will marry. Any details, astrological sign, what his career will be? Okay, anything at all. Anything you can say about the person that Junebug is likely to marry. This is a really fun fortune-tellery kind of a reading. So let's have some fun with this. We're looking for specific details about a man that Junebug might marry. All right. If you'd like to do this reading at Junebug89, the name of the card you got and your interpretation. Okay, be careful. It may be that you have a tendency to choose people who are a little selfish or who will be a little controlling towards you. Maybe you've chosen people like that in the past, or maybe you've had people like that in your family, so be careful. Okay. Question from Kim Kim. I found out a publisher I like is taking submissions this month. I wasn't planning on this, but I have something in mind I think would fit what they publish. What will be the outcome if I submit? Well, you know, this is where The writer in me wants to be encouraging and say, doesn't matter, just submit. That's the whole point of submitting, is you just submit. So let's do this reading though. If you would like to do this reading, at Kim Kim, the name of the card you got and your interpretation, what happens if she makes this submission? The Ace of Wands reversed. You may not be accepted this time, but that is okay. Do it anyway because it gets you in the long run to where you need to go. Hey, Iva, glad you're here. Okay. Ashley, will my new relationship work out and why am I not feeling so connected to him? All right. If you would like to do this reading, at Ashley, the name of the card you got and your interpretation. Five of Swords. You know, let's go with the idea of why you are not feeling so connected to him. Is this really a compatible relationship? Is this really something that is working for you? You know, to predict whether or not a relationship will work out is a very, very difficult thing to do. What you really have to do is look at where we are in this moment. And I feel like you may not be feeling so connected to him because there are things here that aren't working well. So I think what you need to do is look at what's not working well and see if there are adjustments you can make to try to make it work better, or if this really isn't a good choice for you. Okay. Okay, Robin Renee, nice to see you. She would like to know about her upcoming week. How will things go for the week ahead? What does she need to know about the week ahead? If you would like to do this reading, at Robin Renee Albritton, the name of the card you got and your interpretation. The World reversed. So there may be some things that happen this week that will be frustrating. There may be some things that you are trying to complete that will not be completed. And there may be some larger things that you'll be thinking about. Just having to do with the world in general, having to do with the way of the world, with how people are, with how the world is. And do not let it get you down. You know, the world is a big place. And we can look at the things that are good. We can look at the things that are not so good. We have to know the things that are not so good, but we have to be hopeful about the things that are good. Nancy Angel Wolf. Will I find relief from my illness induced by fragrances? So are you wondering if the relief will come from fragrances like essential oils, or is the illness induced by something that you've inhaled? I'm not sure about the way that you phrase the question, but I'm just going to look at, will you find relief in the way that you're thinking you might find relief, or, you know, whatever. So if you would like to do this reading, at Nancy Angel Wolf, the name of the card you got and your interpretation. Ace of Coins reversed. To find relief, you may need to try something different. Something different than you have been trying. You may need to be more proactive or try a different sort of a remedy or a different path in order to find relief. Okay, this is a great one, Karen Maynard. So nice to see you. The question is, you ready for this? Hey, universe, WTF? I love that. Okay, so how do you do a reading like that? Really, you just say, hey, universe, what the fuck? You just say that, WTF, and pull a card. Okay, if you'd like to do that reading, at Karen Maynard, the name of the card you got and your interpretation. The Five of Coins. So here's the thing. I feel like in a lot of ways you may be feeling like you know, every time you take a step forward, you end up taking a step back. That in terms of resources, time, money, energy, well-being, whatever, you never have quite enough. And that makes it feel really difficult. What I think this card says, though, is that there is always a way to figure out what to do and how to do it if you can believe in that possibility. Okay. Lots of great readings going on. Thank you all so much for being here. Okay, Marion K. Tarot, so nice to see you. And Marion does have, excuse me, Marion does have a channel right here on YouTube called, believe it or not, Marion K. Tarot. So make sure that you subscribe to her as well. And if you haven't subscribed to me here, please do. And please make sure you like this video. Okay, Marion K. Tarot, what does the universe want me to know? You're the second one to get this today, obviously in a different context. The Seven of Cups. So the universe wants you to know that you can pretty much do what you want to do and have what you want to have. You just have to figure out what you want to do and what you want to have, and then go do it and have it. Hey, Patra Lynn, so glad that you're here. Lots of great readings going on, and the floor is still open for readings for the next few minutes. And Brenda Elizabeth is here. Brenda Elizabeth and I are making a plan. She is going to be a guest teacher. She is the designer of many great Lenormand decks, including this one, Electric Lenormand. She has agreed to come and teach a free class on Lenormand for tarot readers right here in April. So just wanted to give you the heads up on that. Okay. Alexis, I've been professionally trying to transition into another space. Will this happen for me soon, and will it be a good move if it happens? If you would like to do this reading, at Alexis BR, the name of the card you got, and your interpretation. Do we see this move, and is it a good thing? Second one today to get the Five of Swords, obviously in a different context. You're going to have to fight for it. It's not easy to get. And even once you have it, it may not be easy, but the rewards may be worthwhile. Just, pick and choose what you really want. That's the key. Hey, Lori Hahn, nice to see you. Okay. And one question per person, please. Okay. Oh, so the can't tolerate fragrance, right. Right, so like an allergy kind of an issue. That's a hard one. Okay, Irelina. I was with a man for 3 years, then it ended. He just passed away, and I'm wondering, did he think of me? Any info on our relationship or what I can do to stop thinking of him? So that's always hard. When your ex dies, that's like a whole new kind of grief and you've already had grief because of the end of the relationship. All right. If you'd like to do this reading, Irelina, the name of the card you got and your interpretation. Queen of Swords. So a couple of things. Did he think about you? Yes, I believe he did. I feel like I feel like the relationship would not have been able to last any more than it did, just based on what I see as differences between the two of you. What you can do to stop thinking of him is I feel like you're telling a different story than what is true. You may be remembering the good times and not the bad times. You may be having regrets about things that you could not control. And I think that, a relationship has so much attached to it. And I think that in order to lay this one to rest, I think you need to come to the understanding that it ended. Did it end when it needed to? Maybe it could have ended sooner and that would have been better, quite frankly. But the story you're telling yourself about it may not be true and may not be helpful. Okay. Smile Soul 20, what does the universe want me to know? If you'd like to do this reading, at Smile Soul 20, the name of the card you got and your interpretation. The High Priestess. So I know that you have been looking for a female partner for a long time. And in that context, the High Priestess is actually a really, really good sign of finding the right person. So do not give up hope when it comes to the search for that woman who would be perfect in your life. Iva Morris. My middle daughter, who is very cautious when meeting men, has met someone. They seem to hit it off from the first conversation on FaceTime. What does the universe say about this relationship? All right, let's take a look. If you'd like to do this reading, at Iva Morris, the name of the card you got and your interpretation, what do we think? The Two of Wands reversed, too early to tell. There is no harm in, moving forward and seeing where this goes, but let us not jump to conclusions about what an initial attraction and initial compatibility could mean for the future. Oh, and just such a nice message from Claire. Thank you, everyone, for these great readings. I really needed this. It is so great. I mean, this is a fun process. It's good practice. It's interesting. But it's really nice when we can help each other and people can find real healing and real knowledge in this process. So thank you, everyone, for participating in this. Okay, we are coming to the end of the first half. So this is going to be final call for your questions for readings. And we've got Style and Chica, who says, hi to the ancestors. Any messages for me? All right, a message for Style and Chica from the ancestors. If you would like to do this reading, at Style and Chica, who is my friend Peely, the name of the card you got and your interpretation. Justice. Style and Chica, your message is this. In terms of your personal life and in terms of the way you view life on the planet and society and everything, you have an important role to play. You have an important role to play in bringing balance to your own life and also in moving things forward in the right direction for the planet. Even when you feel like you don't have power, do not doubt your power and do not doubt your path. Okay. Looking for those final questions. Lots of great readings going on. Remember that if you've asked a question you want to go through and get the rest of your reading, communicate with the people here. That seems to be happening, and thank you all so much for that. Okay, Canary Sea. How do I deal with the feelings of rejection, abandonment, anger, and regret after the man I was dating broke up with me unexpectedly over text? Oh man, I am so sorry. And that breaking up over text, man, that is a chicken shit thing to do. I am sorry, but that is my opinion, is who does that? Oh, and if we were sitting there having drinks and talking about this, I'd say, well, the fact that this person would do this tells you everything you need to know about this person. So clearly, not the right person for you, because you've got a lot more class than that. But let's see what the cards say. And we are so sorry you're going through this. If you'd like to do this reading, at Canary C, the name of the card you got, and your interpretation, King of Wands. So the thing is, this person is really, really attractive. And I think that the way to deal with all of this is to recognize that this person put out this great persona, and you were very attracted to that persona. But what this person wanted you to see and what this person puts out there and what is really true, two different things. The person you thought you were dating doesn't exist. Still hard, but there we go. Okay. Okay, and Karina Maslanka, what does Spirit want me to know this week? If you would like to do this reading, at Karina Maslanka, the name of the card you got, and your interpretation. Eight of Coins. It's all about work. It's all about learning. It's all about growing and getting better. However that fits into your life, that's what you need to do this week. All righty. So at this point, I am opening the floor to your questions about tarot. Have you a particular card that's hard for you to interpret? Do you have a question about a particular deck, a particular technique, a particular spread, a reading that you did that didn't make sense to you? Anything at all. The floor is now open, and I'm going to start with Style and Chica's question, which is a mind-blowing question. So, what she said is, Akashic Records, and we'll talk about what Akashic Records are in just a moment. Is it possible to use tarot to view and read the Akashic Records? And if so, how would you do it? Now, I would love to hear your opinion. So if you have something to say about it, tag it Akashic or Akasha, and let's hear what you have to say. I am going to share what I think, and then I'm going to open up with another question that this sort of sparked for me. Okay, so my understanding of the Akashic Records, and Peely sort of sent me down the rabbit hole looking at all of this. The idea is the Akashic Records contain all knowledge of your soul, all knowledge of everybody's soul, everything that has happened, past lives, everything that is happening, everything that will happen, everything. And this is a very specific spiritual belief set. Not everyone believes in the Akashic Records, okay? And so that's my second question. And if you want to address this, tag it belief. How, as a tarot reader, do you approach a question that a client might have that does not fit into your belief set? For instance, if you do not believe in past lives and someone wants you to read on their past lives, what do? If you do not believe in saints and someone wants you to know to ask what saint they should work with, what do? So, beliefs. Okay. Now, here is what I have come to. You can choose to agree or disagree, and we'll still be friends. One thing I love to do in this group is have us share our opinions, and we don't all agree with each other. And that is perfectly okay. That's how we learn. That's how we grow. That's how we think. So, okay, and Karen, you have the book, right? So here's the thing. This is a very specific belief set. And to read the Akashic records, and there are readers, professional psychics, and this is what they do, and some of them are really good. There are particular protocols for this. You have to say a particular prayer a particular number of times. You have to come at this in a very specific way. And so I would say technically, because reading the Akashic records is its own thing and does not include tarot, I would not use tarot to do it. I just wouldn't. I would want to have respect for that belief set. And if you want to read the Akashic records, read the book about it, take the class, say the prayers, do it the way it's put forth within that tradition. Now, let's take a step further. If the Akashic records are all knowledge, can you use tarot to access all knowledge? Heck yeah. Any question you want. But will the universe always answer in a way that you can understand? No. You can always ask, but the universe may or may not answer. So that's what I have to say about that. Okay, let's see what people have to say about all this. Okay. Irelina, I don't understand why some people incorporate the Kabbalah into their readings. Since I learned they had to tweak the system to make it work with tarot. Well, but the thing is, they did it early on. I mean, occult tarot is really, really young. Occult tarot has only really been around since the 1700s. And it was at that time that they really started playing with this. The association with the Hebrew alphabet and Kabbalah. So historically and traditionally, there are reasons to do it if you want to, because it's a young thing, and it's not like they did it yesterday. In terms of the history of occult tarot, it happened pretty early on. Okay. Melanie, I suspend my belief system unless the client is problematic, like racist. The cards will handle it. Right. When we talk about belief system, there's a real difference between, I honor God this way, or I honor the goddess this way, and my religion says that white people are superior to all people, right? There's a huge difference in those two things. And I completely agree with you. Yes. Yes. Okay, Kim, belief. I was thinking of asking this, actually. I did a reading for someone recently based on their belief that their best friend is their twin flame. Since it wasn't a stranger, I did it. Fair enough. Even if you don't believe in twin flames, you could do that. You can do that. Absolutely. How'd the reading come out? That's what I want to know. Okay, and Karen's with this as well. I don't give a whatever. If I don't believe, I do the reading for them because they believe it will come through me regardless. Yep, absolutely. Okay. Okay, Dora, belief. I trust the cards will say what the client needs to hear regardless of my belief. I think we seem to have consensus on this. Anyone disagree? Anyone disagree with that? Okay, Karen, so there is an Akashic Tarot deck? Are you saying that? Right, Melanie, the Akashic records can be restated as the universe, and there we are. Dave, as we work through our chosen genres of light work, theoretically all knowledge is accessible. Possibly the Akashic records is just a formalization of that. Why not via tarot? Right. And Karina, could you maybe redirect the question toward the collective unconscious? Absolutely. Absolutely. Okay, Kim, belief. In my opinion, the theories about twin flames seem to contradict themselves. You're meant to be with a person or maybe not, so I don't find it useful. Hope the reading doesn't haunt me. I totally hear ya. I've always viewed the Akashic records as the library of the souls. Yeah, I think that's a fair thing. Karen, so I was on a talk this week about the difference between beliefs and values, which is an interesting thing because there's a lot of conflation between the two, right? And people will use their belief set to justify their values. So that's an interesting conversation, isn't it? Okay, so there is an Akashic Tarot deck. So here we go. Here we go. I did not know that such a thing existed. So, Style and Chica, it might make sense to get the Akashic Tarot deck to do exactly that. And my question is, how much like a regular tarot deck is it? What tradition is it? How similar is it? You know, a lot of people call a tarot deck that isn't a tarot deck. So tell us about this. Okay, Nancy, Akashic, I feel you don't have to follow the current ritual protocol to access the smash. I think what you mean is the Akashic records. Tarot is a tool to assist you to access the info. Sure. Kim, twin flame. They wanted to know when they'd come together. But the cards looked positive for May. They ordered 2 more versions of this question, which I rejected because already answered. Got it. Okay, so Melanie, there's a 62 card deck called the Akashic Tarot from 2017. Just checked. That is probably what Karen's talking about. And so, first of all, a 62 card tarot deck, I want to slap the person who called it a tarot deck. It's not. It's an oracle. Right, Karina, how could a 62 card deck be a tarot deck? Well, I mean, you can name anything you want, right? But it's not. It's not a tarot deck. And so could you use this oracle deck designed to work with Akashic records Yes. Could you use tarot? Yes. But to me, it feels kind of like, if you're calling it the Akashic records, it feels disrespectful to not use the specific protocols. But that's just me. Someone else might, and someone else does obviously see it differently, and that's fine. Okay, La Morena. I agree with Christiana. It probably can be done with tarot, but shouldn't for those who are part of the culture and initiated. Cultural appropriation is real and harms marginalized communities, period. Yeah, that's kind of where I sit with this. Yeah. Veronica, it only has 2 court cards per suit and 8 numbered cards. I want to slap that person who called it a tarot deck. Now, obviously, other people do not have that problem with it, and that's fine. You don't have to. But I really feel like, and this is a huge argument. What makes a tarot deck? People have been having this argument for years. Oh, here's another one. I have the Star Child Akashic Tarot. It's a traditional tarot with an additional Akashic card. I find it works well for connecting with people in spirit. Very interesting. And are there instructions within that deck, within the book, for accessing the Akashic records? Interesting question. And then there's the whole Star Child thing. And this is where I have to say, tarot has been such an interesting journey for me when we talk about beliefs. So there have been many things I did not believe in, maybe staunchly and firmly, until I did a tarot reading, and it suddenly came to me that, oh, maybe this is what's going on. For instance, indigo children. I really did not like that whole concept until I started reading for some, and I realized, oh, this probably is a thing. Likewise, the starseed people. I thought that was kind of weird too until I read for some. And actually, until I interviewed the designer of the Starseed Tarot, and then I was in it. So Karen, it is their own system, but I use it effectively in Celtic Cross and any read. It has a major and minor arcana. Maybe it's not a tarot deck because it's only 62 cards, 4 suits, but no pages and knights. Yeah, and I'm sure it's a great oracle. My only issue is with the nomenclature. Because if you start calling anything tarot, then what is tarot? But again, there are people who say, well, When the mother piece came out, there were people who said, well, that's not tarot because it's round. There are people who say if strength is not a woman and a lion, it's not a tarot deck. So, you can draw that line in a lot of different places. And I think we all have our own way that we draw that line. And so let me put that question out to you, and we'll just call it, tag it tarot. When does a tarot deck cease to be a tarot deck for you personally? For me, it's when there are substantially more or fewer cards. It just ceases to be tarot for me. But when is it for you? And in our final 15 minutes, what other questions or comments do you have? What else would you like to look at today? What other questions do you have? And I'd like to go a little further with this idea, like we all agree, whatever you want to call it. We all agree that if we're talking about all the knowledge in the universe, all the knowledge that can be known in the universe, that we can access that knowledge, whatever you want to call it, and we can access it with tarot. How do we do that? So a lot of times people access the Akashic records specifically for themselves. The whole ritual around it is the prayer where you have to say your name aloud and you have to do it 3 times to access the Akashic records for you yourself. And I assume if someone's doing a reading, they have to, for someone else, they have to do that for someone else. And so how would you do that with tarot? Would you say, I want to know about the journey of my soul, or I want to know about my past life? I mean, what would you say? So tag that soul questions. Okay, Robin Renee, do I use the Everything is Fine card in the Modern Witch Tarot deck? No, I do not. Does anyone else? I can show it to you right here. Okay, so most tarot decks are 78 cards and they come with 2 extra cards. And that's because it is cheaper. That is because it is cheaper to make a deck of 80 cards than 78 cards. So there's always these 2 extra cards. And in this particular deck, here are the 2 extra cards. One says, you are a badass being full of life, love, and possibilities. Through this deck, may you find a path to your best self. And then there's the Everything is Fine card, which is the 10 of Swords, but instead of saying 10 of Swords, it says Everything is Fine. I don't use either of these, but you could. If you wanted to come up with a meaning for either of these cards, you could. I haven't read the book, so I don't know what the book says about it, if the book suggests using it or not. So here's the book. It's cute, but again, I haven't read it. So let me know what your thoughts about that are, and tag it Modern Witch. Okay. So here we go. Okay. Karen, now that I think about it, I think if it's called tarot, it should have 78 cards and the same number of major and minor cards. Yeah, I'm kind of with you. Dave, to tarot and not tarot. See how fluid belief systems can be. If an oddball deck serves someone reliably, it's probably a valuable tool in its own right. Oh, absolutely, I agree. I just wouldn't call it tarot. That's all. It's just a naming. La Morena, belief. My cultural traditions are syncretic since we are mixed. So to answer, okay. I missed Arlena's question. I'm lost in the conversation now. I'm just going right back. If some of my ancestors use it, so I may use it, but for others not in the culture, why? Yeah, it's a thing. It's a thing. And I think, okay, if we're talking about cultural stuff, I think that, there's closed practices and open practices. And there are ways where I think cultural exchange is very different from cultural appropriation. I think we're all still kind of having that conversation. Okay, Kim, I'm curious what you think sets starseeds apart. The Starseed Tarot says they long for greater soul purpose. On the Akashic Records, they simply say they can be accessed in many ways, including tarot. Okay, cool. Okay, so that's good to know. So what I've seen with people I identify as starseeds, they really do think in a very, very different way. They're very smart, but they're very lost here on the planet. And they can grasp these like really big spiritual concepts, but they have a really hard time with the day-to-day life. And they all have this longing to go home, and they never know where home is. That's what I see. Okay, Melanie, regarding tarot. The deck must have the majors and minors in full to be tarot. Artwork can vary, wands can be flames, etc., but must stick with the 4 elements. Okay, here's a new question from Mark. Is it cool to ask the same question but to a different deck with a different voice for a second opinion? I say yes, as long as you don't do it obsessively. What say you, my good friends? Is it cool to ask the same question to a different deck with for a different voice for a second opinion? Go ahead and tag that second opinion. Let us know. La Morena, continuing. In my traditions, we also believe that not everyone has to be on the same path, so I can read for others as they are or believe, except in extreme cases like racism, as mentioned. Okay, and Robin Renee, the book says it is a gift card. Whatever. What does that mean? Can I take it to the store and get a gift with it? What does that mean, I wonder? But yeah, I think it's just meant to be a piece of artwork for us. Okay, Nancy, soul questions. If you can do the ritual prayer to open the records, then use the tarot cards to interpret the information. Okay. So, and that's an interesting question. I guess we're coming to consensus that that would be okay. And my original perspective coming in is that that wouldn't be okay. But I'm thinking what I'm hearing from you is that, yeah, it would be okay. So you can do the ritual prayer to open the records and then use the tarot cards to interpret the information like you use the cards for any other reading. Fair. Okay, Kim, in summary, the Starseed Akashic spread. My higher self, my current energies, lower vibrations, karmic imprints, ascension. And see, for me, that just boggles my mind because I want to know, what are lower vibrations? What the heck does that mean? That sounds like a bunch of new age mumbo jumbo to me. And so if those things have meaning to you, that would be a great reading. To me, I'm like, oh, good God, no. Just because, and it's funny because I've been a new ager forever, but more and more, I'm like, I'm really tired of the toxic positivity of some of the New Age community. And I'm finding a lot that just is a lot of, oh, let's talk about our vibrations without really talking about like, okay, what's really real here? And so that's where my issue comes in there. Like karmic imprints, what does that even mean? Right? What is that? I want a whole class to learn about what that means before I do that reading. Okay, Dina, the reality is that each card has so many layers of esoteric knowledge, it's up to the reader to learn how to see deeply. It takes time. Sure. Yes, Karen. To open the Akashic Records, there is a very specific ritual laid out, and it's in the book that you have, where you have to say this very specific prayer 3 times, and then you have to close it up. So it's like this specific thing. But I think what people are saying is once you've done those things, to do the tarot reading in between would be considered okay by people who hold this belief system. And that's really my concern, is to not be disrespectful to the people who really practice this belief system. Okay, La Morena. I make it clear to my querents what I believe for ethics' sake and what I will read for, as I know most readers do. Also, while I get the idea of starseeds and indigos, its origins aren't great, right? Right. But again, I can see how most see it different and how my reality and yours and others can be different. So as long as there's kindness, equity, and peace, it's all good. Right. And Melanie, regarding decks, back to Mark's question, the decks are very different. Some are angry, some peaceful. A second opinion is a good idea sometimes. Irelina, second opinion, I would use an oracle. I don't think I'd use two tarot decks. Unless it's a tarot deck that really is very, very different. Hey, D, yes, we do this 3 times a month. Yes, absolutely. Karen, some say starseeds or starborn are reincarnated from other star systems like Orion or the Pleiades or Sirian, and they are not comfortable here. They look up to the sky and long for home. Yes. And they are sensitive and puzzled by certain human behaviors. Yep. Okay. Irelina, I think Crystal started the whole vibration thing. Right? Well, and then I think back to like the Beach Boys and good vibrations. I mean, we've been talking about that for a long time. And yeah, I have no problem with it as long as we're all clear about what it means, If we're going to do a tarot reading, I want to be really clear about what the question is that the position is asking. And do we really all agree on what that means, or who's doing the reading, and what does that person think that means, and how does that work? Right? Kim, I definitely identify with the description of starseed. I feel as a kid that my first language wasn't words at all. Friends are surprised at what goes over my head while coming to me for advice on other things, right? Right? Brenda, thank you for bringing these dogmatic concepts to light in your teachings and letting us know it's okay not to resonate with some of them. There are a lot I don't resonate with, right? And then a lot that are really cool, right? So Karen, I think, report back to us next time. Read the book, do the prayers, and then see what happens, right? Dora, I believe the only disrespect to a system, a culture, or religion is by demonizing it. Okay, so I'm going to give you another thought on that. If I, as a white European person, decide that I'm going to add to my practice a Native American ritual that you have to pay me for to have me do for you, I would think that would be disrespectful, right? Because I would be monetizing something that isn't mine. But again, your mileage may vary. Okay, Karen, this new age stuff is nothing new. I was brought up by a hippie mom in a hippie house, and all this stuff was around back in the 60s and 70s. Indeed. Dave, us hippie types were talking about vibrations long before science actually confirmed that. Yes, the atoms are all vibrating today. Fact. Kim, I agree with you about the tarot spread, Christiana. I don't agree with dividing light and dark. I think tarot can work for anything, but maybe not the place to start or learn Akashic records. Right. All right, what a great conversation. Right, Dora, monetizing it is another issue. Indeed. Okay, so we are in our last 2 minutes. So now is the time for your shameless self-promotion. Go ahead. Do you have an Insta you'd like us to follow? Do you have a blog post you'd like us to read? Do you have a YouTube that you would like us to subscribe to? Do you have a website you'd like to share? Go ahead and drop that link. Let us support each other. And so we've got 40 people here and only 22 likes on the video. Fix that for me, please. Like this video, please. So our next meeting is going to be this coming Saturday, and it is 10:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. We're going to do a 1-hour class on working with the pendulum and tarot. Hey, I just got another like. We're up to 23. Yay. Thank you so much. I have added all of March's Oh, we're up to 27 now. You folks are wonderful. Thank you. I have added all of March's YouTube events to the playlist. What is the playlist? It is live tarot webinars. Please join us. Please join us. A lot of other good comments here about second opinion, using another style with like Lenormand, very good. Kim, regarding disrespect, it's disrespect to romanticize a culture as well. Yep, nobody's perfect. Yep, absolutely. Absolutely. Okay, so we've got a meetup group to join with Karina. All of it. Thank you so much. Oh man, yeah, we're up to 34 likes. Thank you very much. Holistic Keys on Instagram. Very good. You can go to my website, tarotbychristiana.com. There, you can sign up for my weekly newsletter, Tarot Topics. You can also directly book an appointment with me there. You can read my blogs. I've got a whole bunch of stuff there, so I really appreciate it. And if you're on Facebook, make sure you ask to join the Global Tarot Circle Facebook page. Friends, I want to thank you so much for all of this. I look forward to this whenever we do it. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you for sharing your thoughts and ideas. No, we don't all share the same thoughts or the same ideas, but it is great to have a forum where we can share energy and respectfully share where we're coming from and where we're at. So thank you all so much for that. We'll see you Saturday. Thank you all so much. Style and Chica, thanks for a great conversation. I hope you found that interesting since you were the one who suggested it. And folks, if you didn't like it, it's on her. Thank you all, everyone. Take care.